All right, welcome to Chapter 3. So we're on Unit 3, Intro to Fractions and Decimals. Today's lesson is 3-1, Concept of a Fraction. And the next thing we're going to do is plot fractions on number lines. But before we can do that, we have to know what a fraction is. So I will be able to, there's 4 different things here. We're going to represent a fraction using different visual pictures, identify the parts of a fraction, simplify a fraction, and rewrite a fraction as an improper fraction or a mixed number. So we have lots of vocabulary here today, 6 words. So we're going to start with fraction. So that's going to be in the F's. So F is on page 6. So fraction. Fraction is a way to compare a part to a whole. So for example, we have 3/4, 15/2, 6 1/5, and 10/40. So those are all different types of fractions. So personal connection would be like you got 1/2 of the problems correct. Okay, next word is going to be a numerator. So that's N. So N is on page 12. So on page 12, we're on N. So numerator is the part of a fraction, so ignore this, I screwed up. The part of a fraction that represents the part. Okay, so like 3/7, 3 is the numerator. 5/9, 5 is the numerator. So my personal definition, I would write the top number. Okay, that's what I would do, but that's up to you. So personal connection, you got 3 out of 5 correct. So 3 is the part, so that would be the numerator if we were going to write that as a fraction. Okay, now we have denominator, so that's on page 4. So denominator, the part of the fraction that represents the whole. So where the whole is. So 5/9 means 9 is the whole, so that's the denominator. 3/7, 7 is the denominator. Again, for my personal definition, I would just write the bottom part. As a math teacher, I can't see that because this is the technical term. Okay, but I would write that if I were you. And then you got 3 out of 5 correct. So 5 is the whole, that's how much it was out of, so that is the denominator. All right, next up we have improper fraction, so I. So that is on page 8. It's the first one on page 8. There are 2 I's, remember? So this is the first I page. So improper fraction, when the numerator is greater than the denominator. When the numerator is greater than the denominator. So here the numerator is 10, denominator is 3. So we have 10/3, 15/6. 15 is bigger than 6. So it'd be kind of like you're upside down. It'd be like if you wore pants for a shirt. That'd be goofy. You're kind of upside down. It doesn't quite make sense. Okay, so improper means it's not exactly the way it should be. Next we have a mixed number. So that's M, which is on page 11. Okay, and a mixed number is a fraction with a whole number. So for example, we have 5 9/10 or -3 2/7. So that'd be like you got 2 problems right and half of another problem. So your score would be 2 and 1/2 because you got 2 and half together. So personal definition, I would say a number with a fraction. That's what I would write personally, but that's up to you. What you want to write for your personal definition. Okay, and last one is simplest form or simplified. I didn't write that right, but simplest form. That's S, which is on page 18 for S. So when the numerator and denominator don't have any common factors. So for example, here I start with 2/4, but I could divide both of those by a number. I could divide both by 2. So divide by 2, divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this is simplest form, 1/2. So for example, with pizza, we could say 2 out of 4 slices, that'd be this much. But that's the same thing as 1 out of 2 slices. So we want to make it as less cuts as possible. Okay, personal definition, I write like you can't divide top and bottom by a number. by the same number or something like that. That would be up to you. Okay, going on to your notes. Okay, so it says how many circles are there for building background? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 circles. How many are striped? These ones are supposed to be striped, so there are 2. And how many circles are black? 1, 2, 3. So we could write those as fractions, but right now we're just identifying them. And that's really what we're doing. Okay? So step number 1, it says shade in 1/4 of the clouds. So for 1 out of every 4 clouds should be shaded. So we're going to break them up into groups of 4 and then shade in one of them. So if I look, here's cloud 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to just kind of break those up into one group. Okay, and then here's another group of 4. And I'm going to highlight 1 from each group, or shade it in. You can shade it in with your pencil, but that's a lot of ink for my pen. So here is 1 of those 4, and then here's another 1 of those 4. So now 1/4 of the clouds are shaded. Okay, number 2, shade in the following amount of the circle. So we have 1/2, 2/3, 3/7. We're going to draw on lines so that we have the number of equal slices as the denominator. And we shade in the amount of the numerator. So here we want 2 slices. So we just break it in half. And we have 1, 2. And we're going to shade in half. So again, I'm just going to use a highlighter. That way it looks a little nicer. You can see what I did. Okay, B is 2/3. So to make 3 parts, I'm going to make a dot in the middle. I'm going to draw it up. And then I want 3 parts. So if I just draw it down, they won't be equal. I'll have a half and then something over here. So I'm going to split it apart. So 1 and 1. So now I have 1, 2, 3. They're about the same. I'm going to shade in 2 of those parts. So here is 1 part. Whoops, that got a little messy. And then 2 parts. Now it didn't have to be that one. I could have shaded in these 2, or I could have shaded in those 2, as long as 2 of them are shaded in. Okay, 7. So again, since it's an odd number, I'm going to actually break it apart here. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you just kind of have to do it part by part and figure out what you're going to get. Okay? And we need 3 of them shaded in. It doesn't matter which 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Doesn't matter which 3, as long as there's only 3 of them shaded in. Okay, number 3, we're going to shade in the following amount of the rectangles. So 1/5. So first thing we're going to do is draw on the lines so we have equal number of parts as the denominator. So we need 5 parts. So since it's odd, I can't do one in the middle. So I'm going to just think 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. So this one is really big at the end, so that's too big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a 5th one that's about the same size, and I'm going to cross this out. So I don't want that there. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and I need to shade in one of those. It doesn't matter which one. I'm just going to shade in the first one. Keep it simple on this one. Okay. B, 3/4. So since this is an even number, I can break it in half. And then break each of those in half. Okay, and I need 3 of the 4 shaded in. So here's 1, 2, and 3. So 3/4 are shaded in. Last one is 5/8. So again, since it's even, I can break it in the middle, and then just keep breaking them in half. So half and half, so that's 4. break those in half. I should get 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I need 5 of those shaded in. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they didn't have to be all together, but it makes a little bit more sense if we put them together. Okay, back page. Number 4, we're going to simplify the following fractions. So we need to divide the numerator and denominator by the same number. So it goes both into 4 and 8. Well, I know for sure 2 does. Is there any number bigger than 2? And the answer is yes, there's 4. So I'm going to divide top and bottom by 4. So divide by 4, divide by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So I get 1/2. B, I have 10 and 18. They're both even, so I think 2 goes into them. I don't know if anything else does, so I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So I need to think, is there anything that can go into it again? Nope, so that's it. 9 and 21. So I'm going to think of numbers that I could divide 9 by. I can divide 9 by 1, but I could also divide it by 3. So I'm going to divide by 3 and divide by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 21 divided by 3 is 7. Okay, sometimes you have to do it again, so let's say this 4/8. I'm just going to do that over here. Let's say instead of dividing by 4, you divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 would be 2, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. So you'd have to do it again. Divide by 2, divide by 2, and then you'd get 1/2. So either way we got the same answer, just this way it only took us one step, but it's okay if it takes you more than one. Okay, number 5, we're going to write the following fractions as mixed numbers. So we're going to think, how many times can the denominator fit into the numerator? That's the whole number. And we ask ourselves what's left over. That becomes the fraction. Okay, so we can actually think about this as a division sign. So if I do 12 divided by 5, 5 goes into 12 how many times? It goes into it 2 times. Because 2 times 5 is 10. So I subtract 10, and I'm left over with 2. So this is my whole number, this 2 here. This 2 becomes a fraction, so 2 over 5. That's my answer. Okay, 19 divided by 2. So 19 divided by 2. So how many times can 2 go into 19? And that would be 9 times. Because 9 times 2 is 18. So I subtract 18. And I get 1 left over. So I'm going to make that into a fraction. 1 over the denominator, 2. Or what we were dividing by. Okay, last one is 26 divided by 4. So I'm going to, or 26 fourths. So I'm going to do 26 divided by 4. And 4 goes into 26 6 times, because 6 times 4 is 24. So 26 minus 24 is 2. So I'm going to write that as fraction 2 over 4. Now this one's not done yet, because if I think about 2 fourths, that's not simplified. There's a number that can go both into 2 and 4, and that's 2. So I'm going to divide by 2. Just the fraction. So the 6 stays the same. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I get 6 and 1/2. Okay, example number 6. Write the following mixed numbers as improper fractions. Now we're going backwards. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the whole number by the denominator and add the numerator. Okay, so 2 times the denominator, which is 4, that's 8. Then I'm going to add the numerator, which is 3. So 8 plus 3 is 11. So my final answer is going to be 11 over the same denominator, 4. So 6 is the whole number times the denominator, which is 7. That gives me 42. What that means is if I broke up 6 wholes into 7 parts, I'd have 42 small parts. I add on the numerator, which is 4. So 42 plus 4 is 46, and I keep it over that denominator of 7. I do want to double check if I need to simplify. So far I haven't, because there's not a number that goes both into 46 and 7, and no number goes into 11 and 4. Last one, we're going to take 11 times 9. So that is 99. I add 5. So 9 plus 5 is 14, carry the 1. 9 plus 1 is 10. So I get 104 over 9. And again, that can't be simplified, so that is done. Summary. A fraction is made up of 2 parts, a numerator and a denominator. The numerator tells us the part, and the denominator tells us the whole. And that's it for 3-1.